Hello and welcome to Velocity Talks. My name is Christopher Durham and I'm the president of Velocity Institute. We are once again recording, I would say live, but this is a recording from the PLMA trade show, or more specifically the Marketing by Design booth in the PLMA trade show. So thank you very much to Marketing by Design for hosting us. Today I'm excited to welcome Mark Fields, all the way from the bottom of the world. We'll talk about that in a minute. If you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please take a second. Click like and subscribe. We would love to have you join us, and it reminds you every time we publish a video. So, Mark, it's great to have you.
Christopher, delighted to be here. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Yeah?
Absolutely. So, we always like to start learning a little bit about you. So, tell us about Mark.
Yeah, thank you. So, originally from the UK, background was international food manufacturing. And literally one afternoon, I had a phone call that changed my life from Wesfarmers saying, "Would you like to bring your family to Australia?" And I was lucky enough to do nearly 10 years heading the private label Coles supermarket.
Okay.
At a time that they were going through probably one of the biggest retail transformations in recent years. So very lucky, I guess, to have had a career that's been supplying private label into, Marks & Spencer, Sainsbury's and others. But at the same time, as a senior buyer, buying products to inspire customers and build trust.
And so in Australia, it's really a two-retailer market.
It is.
Coles and Woolworths.
It is for sure. And I think that makes it challenging at times for food manufacturers. I think at times pressure on consumers. But between them, there's 65% of the market is across those two retailers.
With Aldi sneaking up.
Yeah, Aldi are about 10%. And we've got Costco, which is obviously a really exciting shop, and not for everybody. They're around 14% of the market. And the independent sector, which I think is great for where you see innovation in that market. The premium products that are really trying to establish their place in the market before they go into the mainstream retailers. That's about 18% of the market. So still a very exciting time for consumers in Australia, but a very different dynamic to being back up in the UK or Europe. Sure.
Absolutely. Well, so you're now on your own doing your thing. So tell us about what you do in your business.
Yeah. So about 5 years ago now, as Coles AXS listed, I decided it was a great opportunity to go and help food manufacturers and retailers from the other side. And I launched a consultancy, and we've got an office in Australia. And we've just this year opened an office in the UK. We're a team of 30, and everyone's come out of international food manufacturing or retail. And I think we're retailers and manufacturers doing consulting, as opposed to consultants trying to do retail and manufacturing.
So you're not people who don't actually know how to implement the things.
Thank you, Christopher. Yeah. And I think, having lived through it and seen it from both sides of the table, you can understand what retailers or manufacturers are looking for. And ultimately, I'd like to think it helps our clients win quicker because of the expertise you can take to them.
I mean, I can tell you personally, I've worked for more than one retailer who hired a big consultant. Might have started with an M or a B, right? Who cost millions of dollars that said, "Hey, private brand's going to be big," and then we left.
Yeah. We hope that when we leave a client, we leave them with something that's tangible, as opposed to a really good quality presentation or pack. Yet they've then got to work out how do they execute it.
And so you're living in Australia.
Well, we're spending a lot of time in Australia, but we've actually just bought a house in the UK.
Okay, we're in the UK.
So back in the West Country.
Okay.
So we're about 2 hours below London, and it's great to be able to spend more time across both markets because there's so much you can learn from either market. And with the free trade agreement in place, we're seeing more companies want to export into either market.
You must be almost to the coast, right?
Yes. Yeah. From one coast to another. Yeah.
It's like Southampton down there.
Yeah, and there. Yeah.
And that's all the UK geography knowledge I have.
You think Stonehenge and you think the Pilgrim Pot Festival, and we're not too far away. Yeah?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, so you have a good global perspective, right? So talk to me a little bit about what you see happening in private brand this year.
Lucky enough to come across to Chicago for the show last year. That was the first time I'd been here for the show. And I think last year what I went away with was the level of support for private brands here, where the retailers realised that now was the time to push, because traditionally it's been a very low part of their offer. I think what we're seeing in store now, 12 months on, is a significant step forward in the depth of the range. But I would summarise it and say that they're still building the foundation. They're still making sure that they've got the everyday lines covered. Your block cheeses, your meats, your UHT milks, etc. The real fundamentals there to give customers value, but also deliver big returns for the retailers. Before we get into the likes of having platforms around taste shoots, and there's a bit of taste conversation here this week, but before you get the platforms for the ultimate products, before you get your finest product really coming in, and seeing innovation that's winning in the market, because consumers will try retailer brand because of confidence. We're not there yet. And I think walking around the stores, and I've been here for a week ahead of the show, I think there's still significant gaps in the store, which are opportunities for the retailers to get the low-hanging fruit
Sure.
before they really drive innovation.
We're starting to see even Kroger just in the last month launched their Mercado line. It's not even big. It's over 13 items, but it's all fintech Hispanic
Yeah.
Mexican products.
Yeah.
Whereas traditionally, American grocery would have this kind of fake.
And we're definitely seeing that in other markets. I think, there's a love for the sort of Tex-Mex cuisine.
Right.
But what we're looking for now is that real authentic food, because we've loved to travel. We haven't been able to travel so much. And we want that real experience now. I think it's exciting at this show to see so many international manufacturers
Oh,
here.
it is. I mean, you can buy Korean, you can buy Spanish,
Yeah.
whatever you want. That's weird. So as we look towards the future, where do you think the potential is? Where can it?
In this market that we're going to see the high growth rates that we've got in the UK at the moment, you look at Sainsbury's, they'll be high 60s. Yeah. You look at Australia, they're mid 30s now. But I think there's significant headway from a US perspective to really drive. I think the next 5 years look very exciting. Yeah, for consumers, for private label. Because if you look at it slightly from the other side and say, if you're a brand, what does this mean for you? A really successful private label strategy across any retailer is how you get customers into the deal. And that way then you can sell branded products in there because you've got a reason for customers to come to you as a destination. So I actually think that's a positive outlook for brands as opposed to them seeing a loss of market share because everyone's going to go private label. I think it's just going to be a reset of the balance that will influence where the consumers choose to shop. And while I'm buying the private label products, I want to buy the brands that I love because I'm in that trade.
I think we're in the midst of Aldi dramatically changing it like that here.
Yeah. We were lucky enough to be in Aldi at the weekend, and looking at their offer, looking at their growth rate over here, I think it'd be interesting how it puts pressure on Trader Joe's.
I think it's more interesting how much pressure on group.
And I think it will do that as well. But I think Aldi coming into this market with their reputation for a very tight range, great value, and innovation will really stir that whole cocktail up.
I think there's a lot of folks that mistakenly believed it was just for rich people. And when you walk those stores, it's suburban mommies. And
we were very lucky when Aldi came into Australia. Yeah, we'd had the opportunity as a team to see how the UK retailers had responded to Aldi. And I think the view you've just played back there, Christopher, was absolutely right from a UK perspective. So in Australia, we took a different strategy, and Aldi definitely changed the market. But you play a different brand strategy. You make sure you've got your value proposition, you've got your lines that match Aldi, you've got great availability, you're meeting them at least on quality, and you've got to be aware of them in the market. You can't sit back and think that's not my customer. Friends in the UK will shop in Aldi now because they see it's great quality. That whole perception that it's for poor people is so old-fashioned now.
we're pretty much shopping Aldi every other trip, State or Publix, whatever, because there's still things they don't care.
They've got the self-scan now, they're doing some of the delivery, they're doing all the things where it makes sense other retailers are doing. And I think it's going to be very exciting in this market.
So as you look at your business, where's your growth plan for? What do you hope the core next?
Yeah, so where we've just launched the UK business, I'm hoping that will enable us to do more business in that country. We've already had a team there for a couple of years, but it should make us easier to do business. But I think also looking at the journey that they're going on in the US, I'd love to do more business over here because it's about sharing experience and network. We're not reinventing the wheel. What we're saying is what's worked in other markets, and let's do it. And the playbook really goes back to what David Nichols did with Domino's. Have great products inside team members, create a point of difference with private label, and that's where I feel the US needs to accelerate that journey, and hopefully that's where the focus is.
I sit with the retailers all the time, and I typically say, what's your President's Choice chocolate chip cookie?
Yep.
And 90% of the time, they can't tell me.
Yep.
And Dave did, right? Dave, this is my cookie. This is what we're building our whole brand on.
Exactly. Yeah. I wrote an article for the Amsterdam PLMA show in one old trade press, and that was what I used as my example. Because you're right, everybody needs that to get team members internally excited and believe the brand, because you've got to have the belief in the store, and then it's got to come through to the customer. I think what is very encouraging this week is people are this year talking about taste. Even some of the exhibitors are talking about how they're bringing taste into their products more.
Well, it's honestly, it's a refreshing change for U.S. grocery in general, because it's not even really private brands. We became such a procurement-focused retail market. It could have been nuts and bolts. It didn't really matter what they were buying. And I'm like, you realize you're actually feeding people, and I'm raising my children, feeding my pets, and whatever it is. I don't really care if you got 2%, whatever, if you got. Help me take care of my family.
Yeah. And I think there's lots of opportunity here as that private label journey continues around health labeling the food potentially. Lots of opportunity to help customers make clearer choices on sustainability. It's really interesting looking at the back of the packs and saying, what do I do with that when I finished it? I don't think that's as clear as it could be for consumers. But I think as you get that momentum behind private label, it gives the retailers a chance to say, what do we need to do next to help improve lives of consumers? Because they've got that following, they've got that support internally. I think it just opens up the door to be a very exciting time here.
Oh, I absolutely believe that. So we always end up with the same 5 questions. You know the questions, right? Question number 1, what's your favorite word?
I think appreciation.
Good word. Number 2, are you more artistic or more mathematical?
Mathematics. I think I like to move at pace, but I like to think things through. I like to understand what the big picture opportunity is. If you said to me, Mark, design a brand, not my strength at all. But yeah, I think it's about inspiring people and getting people to see the vision you're aiming for.
If you could share a meal with anyone, past or present, living or dead, would it be around?
That's a really hard question because I think there's a few, but I think the one I'd give you would be Richard Branson. And I'm sure that's one lot for people to say, but I think for what he's achieved and the way in which he's developed a brand that will now be recognised across so many different areas, from planes to records to hotels, I think there's a lot we can learn from him. And I think he'll be great company.
What profession other than your own would you have liked to have tried?
I wanted to be a stockbroker.
Why?
I wanted to be a stockbroker because I was really interested in finance and shares. And that was my other choice. If I hadn't gone into food, stockbroking would have been where I'd like to have gone. And I'd have probably retired by now, Christopher, in a case, or failed.
All right, final question. If you could speak to yourself at the beginning of your career, what advice would you say?
I think when I started, it was very much around a career for life, that one job for life. And I think now the jobs that people are taking are jobs that weren't there 2 years ago, 5 years ago. And I think it's going into that environment, saying to yourself, do something you're going to be happy with, but also realize that the journey might take you in a different direction on its way. I never thought when I started working I'd ever live in Australia. And so I think it's not that job for life. I think it's do the right thing, be respectful with people, remember those on the way through, and strengthen your networks and reputations, because you never know where life will take you.
Thank you for joining.
Christopher, that was excellent. Really enjoyed it. Thank you for the opportunity.
We love having you.
Thank you.